up, YouTube? It's Johnny Busket. Here with another spotlight video for the first time in a while. I got Reno with me. I got Paikon with me, also known as Maul by Bunny. So if you see his name sitting up there at the top, that's who that is. Today we're going to be talking about a team that has not only destroyed me, but I've also enjoyed watching. It's a team that Paikon came up with. We're going to talk about this team, go through some of the mechanics, show you guys just how it works. But let's jump right into it. So, Bunnies, how long have you played deck builders? How long have you played DC?
Well, I started playing DC like probably 5 to 6 years ago with my brother. As you guys know, my brother. So he's actually the one that figured out Cube existed.
Yeah, Shawnster.
So I played. Yeah. So we ended up finding this community of people and playing here.
Mm-hmm.
But even prior to figuring out Cube, we actually made our own cubes with all the decks. But like 5 years.
I remember you saying that. Who won more?
Yeah, I always won.
When did you start playing on Tabletop Simulator?
Probably 2.5 years, 2 years ago.
I think we started playing on Tabletop around the same time. I remember me and you.
Because you've known me since I started. So.
Yeah, we used to run games all the time, and with Dino as well, who we haven't seen in a while. So jumping right into the season, what are both of y'all feelings about the season so far, and the teams that are available?
I actually haven't played much of Season 19. Been a little bit busy. Like I said in the season change video, it seems really straightforward. I kind of wish I got to see someone play Shark. I don't know if anyone has run into that. I feel like she's, I guess, semi-fun. Shark. Killer Frost.
No, I haven't ran it yet. I haven't ran into it yet. Killer Shark, yeah. Killer Frost, no.
Yeah, I actually always called her Killer Shark because that's how she was played since I started playing, and I never remember her name is Frost. But yeah, I haven't played much of this season, so I don't know what's actually strong. I haven't been testing, unfortunately.
In the games you have played, who did you use?
I just used Vixen Procs. So.
Oh yeah. So you really haven't played since those games me and you played.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Bunnies, what do you think?
I like this season a lot. I think they increased the amount of teams you can play significantly that are competitive. Like there's a lot more teams instead of just having to play Cyborg, Starfire, Orion, or Baz.
Right.
Or something that can compete with that, which was not many things. So you basically were pigeonholed into 4 teams that worked. Right now, I feel like there's a lot of teams that work. The only downside I would say is definitely C4 Flash being back to it too. Just because that immediately ruins the person after whoever playing C4 Flash's turn. Downside?
I mean, I think that just goes along with just having more teams that are viable. I get what you're saying, because that definitely does happen. But there's so many teams with so many other options. It's just even if you play after them, I think you have options to get around that. In my opinion.
It just does feel like a immediate crippling to have to play after that, because they can decide what your lineup looks like. So that hurts. Yeah,
it does. But I think that's kind of going along with playing against a Kid Flash too. Sometimes they can do something similar. Yep. Now playing against a Kid Flash and C4 Flash team.
That actually is a game I want to go play, because Dollar Tree is back on the list of playable teams, and that was one of my all-time favorites.
But I'm liking the season so far as well. Just like you said, when it comes to MCs and team availability, it's just a lot of options right now. I would like to see some more things get introduced to the main deck, just to kind of spice that up a little bit more. But other than that, I think we're going to have a really good season tournament-wise, for sure. All right, well, let's actually jump into the combo then. Talking about Red Tornado, Black Manta, and Vixen in their placement into the tiers, starting with Red Tornado. I remember when he first came out, and people were really running a lot of Red Tornado and the tier 2 version as well together. I was like, this guy needs to be a 2. I don't really feel that way anymore. Ones need something, and he's a good one. What do y'all think?
Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's a 1. I think he'd be hard to manage as a 2, just because he really doesn't do anything. He does a little bit, but not enough to justify 2 full points.
Yeah, I was on the notion he needs to be a 2 for a while, but then he just needs a lot of things to go right for him. So.
I mean, even just getting started, you have to have Baz. You have to have 3 types. Just to get the deck flip. Which can, it's not even always a benefit. Sometimes like I flip my deck and I'm like, that wasn't the right decision. Like it can hurt you.
Yeah, it can. And like I was just saying, you actually need 3 cards. It's not like you can throw down Element Woman or, you know, a Shapeshift and flip your deck. You have to actually have 3 cards.
Yep.
But I mean, thinking back, I remember just seeing a lot of broken shit with Red Tornado, and I can't remember exactly what was enraging me so bad, especially when I feel worse than what
I remember the Animal Man Red Tornado was pretty busted just because it was like you get 4 power, you get extra 4 power every turn.
Yeah.
Basically, more or less, like.
Well, no, I mean that one is also subject to RNG. Like a lot of the Red Tornado teams now aren't subject to as much RNG as that one is.
Yeah.
I remember when Aqua 9 was 3 and I would run Red Tornado, Aqua 9, and it actually worked really, really well.
I remember that. Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah, but Black Manta and Vixen as well. Black Manta used to be a 1, now he's a 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the hardest part of this team, right?
Yeah.
Like the hard is paying 2 for Black Mana.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
it's so wrong.
It's basically. I don't think of it that way though. I think of it as basically this being my new Aquaman as a team.
Yeah, because that's all you're really doing.
So, I'm literally just making like a ghetto Aqua Vixen, but it actually ends up working a little bit better because you can do any cost.
I was about to say,
so you can,
that and you're flipping your deck, so you kind of get to reshuffle into everything you buy.
Yeah, that's what I don't know when you wanted to get into it, but I was like, just the home runs you can hit with this deck, because you can keep drawing your good cards. Like you just keep getting your 3 power card early on, or you can keep getting that mind control hat. But I mean, in the same light, you can never get it. Like you can never get it again. But
yeah.
Well, on the subject of home runs, I was always wondering about Vixen. Is she like a farm MC, or is it just like knowing when and where to be?
The reason I like this team so much is because Vixen is so versatile.
Yeah.
Like her by herself just does so much. Like very open-ended. She can take you like wherever the game takes you. Like she can help you out no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think since Vixen's inclusion in the game, she's always been a farm team.
Right.
Because like even with Aqua Vixen, you just always stack the kicks. You'd always get like a 3-card cost and get a kick, right? Like she was the queen of getting like kicks onto your top of your deck or like in your deck, just to Vixen it and then play it again for 2 power. So like if you had a 4-powered hand, you just like ideally buy 2 Aqua Vixen, put a blue 2 on top of your deck and get a kick. You have 4 or 5 power.
Right. Let's actually cross over into talking about the plan and talking about some mechanics. Bunnies, if you want to kick that off.
Sure. I mean, basically, I set up the lineup to where this is just multiple different ideal scenarios for this deck.
Mhm.
Like, a big thing that prevents this deck from popping off is the lineup being kind of unplayable. So, like, if you get stuck with a bunch of locations or things that just don't really do anything via Vixen, then you can kind of get behind. But I mean, it's still kind of it still finds its way eventually. But like here, I guess I'll go ahead and do my first turn. So I was telling Busket, this is basically like an ideal start. So if you don't have the 4 for Element Woman, obviously Element Woman is going to proc every single Vixen trait, which early game is absolutely obnoxious because you would probably get a gigantic 6 cost. You would destroy a card, and you'd be able to play her that turn. But let's go ahead and put down my 3. Hero's probably the best start you can do, especially if there's already an expensive card in the lineup, because you know that you're going to have the +2 power next turn on top of your 5-card hand. So I'm going to slide this under there. End my turn, draw my 5. So I already know I've got 2 power waiting for me this turn on top of whatever my hand is.
And you got a double element.
I know I've got 4. So Bop, Vixen for 2. And the best thing about a hero, like superpowers would be good, but the problem with the superpower is you're forced to draw it and you can't use it in your next hand. So hero is the best because it sits here on top of giving you power. So now I get to grab a turn 2 Laughing Gas, which is 2 VP, a weakness attack, and it's a different type from the card I already have. So right now I'm ensuring that I have Red Tornado next turn because I have 2 types. I got a 6 cost, and it's an attack. So like right now I'm just completely the Catbird just gonna snowball. Like in this particular game, if this happened, it would just be nuts because now my next hand is going to be probably at least 6 power again. I mean, even this, I drew 2 Vulns in my hand. I still have a 5 power hand.
And you're gonna hit us with a weakness.
And I'm applying a weakness. And if this is actually almost ideal because I have Vulns in my hand right now. So let's say this were actually the lineup. So I'm hitting you. I'm sending my deck. And then I've got this bad boy waiting for here. So this is now, the bottom of my deck is now the top of my deck. So just put that right there. I would Vixen it. So I'm already back to 3 power again. And I would destroy Vuln. Back to 5. So I just had what was it, like almost a 10 power turn on turn 3. Yep. And then the cool part about this team, in my opinion, is the fact that I have a chance to get every one of these cards again. Like, I could literally run that turn back.
Look at the draw. Wow.
And look, run it back. See, it's like a good bop. It's a second weakness in 2 rounds. I just gave you a second weakness. So everybody's probably already ruined at this point. Unless you're Bizarro.
Which
And then
can't
I'll
be.
play my 3rd card.
RP.
Flip my deck. So we're at 5, 7. Then I'm gonna look at the deck. Like, what do I want to Vixen the most out of here? So I'm snowballing. I can either get this and destroy, or I can just start farming. I can just try to just farm. But I think that's definitely my best solution. It's just gonna be boom, Vixen destroy.
More weakness attacks because people will get like a kick. You buy the only defense in the lineup, and you're like golden. Even in like an ideal scenario, though, like
worst case next turn, I already have my red tornado set up. Like
Jesus.
It's just a full snowball.
And Reno, what were you saying?
Well, I guess we should have played it a little bit better. Like, these cards would have gone by the time he got back. We just get a new lineup. Right? But, like, even this lineup is like actually perfect for him. Like, in this scenario of buying a turn 2 Laughing Gas, like, he's the only one who's gonna get him perfect.
Oh, this is a good one to actually play out because teleportation, I can play it this turn.
Yeah, this is a good one.
But he's already destroyed 2 starters, right? Technically.
Yeah.
And so he's given 2 weaknesses up. So literally no one's getting.
Yeah, everybody's struggling right now, so they're trying to keep up, and I'm still snowballing.
My God.
It's a very win hard type of game that has an easy, high floor.
So attack.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and get my red tornado going on. And this is these fun top deck mechanic type things. So you can take Canary Cry and just stick your Element Woman right on top, Vixen it. Another Vuln gone. Another 4 power. I could literally buy the boss on this turn.
Yikes.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 power. So I could buy 3 3s. I could buy Impervious if I wanted.
Impervious, right? You can just buy Impervious.
Technically, I could buy like a 13 cost boss right now if I wanted to. So I have 2 power, 4 power, 6 power, 7 power, 8, 9 from Vixen, and then you also get the cost reduction. So technically,
12.
I'm at a 12 power boss right now if I wanted.
And that's exactly why I asked that question before about Vixen, her flexibility between boss rushing and also a farm team. I've always seen her on farm teams, like Reno said. When it comes to that equipment part is kind of underrated. I've ran Vixen, a handful of times.
If you have a way to top deck equipment, that's when it becomes the boss team.
Exactly.
There's a couple cards that actually just completely activate you into a boss team. Obviously, the Shapeshifts and the Element Womans will do it, but there's also like the equipment that you can top deck defenses. That one will basically turn you into more of a boss team. Or if you get the hero that puts the defense on top, and you can figure out how to get like an equipment defense, because then you can set up your defense Vixen, and obviously it's sitting there for when the boss flips.
So when are you actually Vixening off the deck instead of flipping it out? Is it just you have cards?
You have to do it when you can't red tornado.
Yeah.
So if you're not snowballing and you're not able to get 2 cards per turn, basically, which if you have a good early game, for the most part, you're gonna get about 2 cards a turn. Then you're gonna have to kind of do some blind Vixens, but for the most part, you can manipulate it and get it to where you can always just Manta something.
I think that's where,
especially early game, because you must always have either a villain or a hero in the lineup, which are, I would say, probably early game, those are going to be your two best.
I think that's where locations like these come into play. No longer have to blind Vixen. I mean, of course, these you're pulling out cards, but you know.
Yeah, once I get these, I'm 100% a farm team. If I get these, basically that's just how my game goes. Like if I get top deck locations, I don't even look at bosses anymore because I know I'm going to be able to play 8 to 9 cards per turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to be able to buy them, either Vixen them if I want to, and play them.
And I've seen that a ton. I think that's one of the more frustrating parts of playing a team when you know they're going to be, not only are they going to do all the shenanigans with the cards you've already bought, flipping stuff out, topping stuff off the lineup, but then guess what? You get an extra card because whatever I top, even if it's with Metropolis and it's just a kick, that's an extra 2 power and it's going to go a long way.
Oh, yeah. Like, we're dealing with ideal scenarios because like this card works for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 2 of them, it's just like crazy. Like even the other locations.
If you get OA out, once you get OA and you have one of these, it's just absurd.
Yeah, but not just OA. Like I like just your generic draw locations. They're so good for her too. They're just good for any Vixen deck in general. Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen.
Also,
right?
I'd say one of the most underrated things about Red Tornado
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that things that hit your discard pile don't affect you anymore, like attacks and such. Like not having a discard pile actually very often is like a blessing, because like Harley Quinn no longer can hit you. You can't get hit by like the Aquaman thing that tucks starters.
Right.
You can't
This
get
thing,
hit
yeah.
by
Super annoying.
Yeah,
Super annoying.
you kind of dodge a lot of those attacks.
I was just looking at something. Oh yeah, I've seen you dive after these quite a bit. Like anytime these good locations with draw come up, Olympus, Arkham Asylum, Watchtower, you're grabbing those.
Yeah, that's locations on this team are actually just exponentially better because these
You
you get them out instantly. You get them out the turn after. Like a lot of thing about locations is like sometimes it just takes too long to get them out to get all their value. This team puts them in your next hand, so you get them right out.
Or water bears exist. This is one of the best 3s in the game.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion.
It definitely is. I love not having to wait on my locations, whether that's with this or was it Giant Growth.
But as a whole for this team, like I think my favorite part about it is I really do feel like I'm playing the game. Like it's not just like a play card get more power deck. It's like you have to kind of game it. Like you can really min max, which there's not a lot of decks that you can actually kind of like manipulate and like do better.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just like my cards came or they didn't. This is a lot more like figuring out stuff, getting your like playing with your discard pile. There's so many cards that just pull from discard pile. Like for example is
Bad Signal.
Yeah,
Bad Signal. What's that superpower? The ridiculous one.
Which one? What does it do?
The 6 cost that pulls 2 cards from your discard.
Oh yeah, Mystic Bolts. Yeah, Mystic Bolts.
Yeah,
I mean, if someone ever
having
gave me Mystic Bolts,
having Mystic Bolts with a fully available discard pile.
Yeah,
Destruction. This deck with Red Tornado, Destruction so much better too, because you have all your starters available.
People shouldn't be letting you get these pull from discard cards. Like it just shouldn't be happening. Or Element Woman, like.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many cards you can't let me have there. That's why this deck's good, because it's so versatile. Like I can go whichever route I want.
actually, even this card, which is normally not a good card.
Yeah, agreed. Any Vixen team should be happy to get an Aqualad if you're in that place. Where
Superpowers are like the GOAT mid game for this deck. Like you want because superpowers are usually pretty powerful, and like by mid game you don't really need to guarantee those cards in your next hand type thing, because like you got enough cards to be proccing NATO every turn. So like once you get mid game, superpowers become a lot more valuable because, like I said, you don't need them in your next hand as often.
I'm like playing all the cards that like are generally good, but like some of them like that I'm pulling out for this team, like no one ever buys. Like,
Yep.
like mirror images.
Yeah, MI.
Yeah.
I love MI. I put a lot of priority on MI when I'm playing this team for sure, because you can completely control. You can get 2 cards, and you can literally like control it.
You can actually control this well enough too. Like I feel like it's really good.
You have so many options. King of Atlantis. I would say I have one of the worst looks with King of Atlantis. Bunnies, I know you say you do, but
Oh yeah, it's bad.
That's a great card right there.
My hit rate on King of Atlantis is like an all-time low. It's like Shaq. It's like Shaq from the 3-point line. Or
but with this team, it's
line.
golden though. Like you gotta make sure you have 3 cards.
Yes
Really
and no. The thing about discard interaction cards is you do have to have the 3 types before playing that card. So you gotta have a pretty solid hand prior to the card that you need to get to your discard pile with. So like those cards become a little bit more valuable like later when you can actually have that many non-starters in your hand. Because like I said, you have to play 3 types and then the card.
Oh, the card they banned, Aquaman, was actually crazy for this. Because you can buy the kick and get the 3 types off. You have to pay 3 for it.
Yep. A couple last things before we wrap it up. One being, what's the worst case scenario? How can I slow this team down?
If the lineup's bad, or if the person playing prior to you has C4 flash and prevents you from getting heroes villains early.
The destruction and the free power.
Really no.
Correct. Well, basically just Vixenable cards. The cards where Vixen is usable. So if you get flood games that Cyborg teams used to dump on this deck because games that turn into kick games. This is like the worst case scenario for this deck. Like, you don't want to go into a kick game. You want to keep flipping your deck, and you can't stack kicks with Manta, which is like the only thing that makes Manta not like a little like less than Aquaman. Like the fact that you can't do kicks.
Yeah.
If you could do kicks, this team would be absurd because it would have no downside at all. Like you could just always just have that because you can Vixen a kick, so it's like.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I have for you, and we don't have to go into great detail about this, but I did want to bring it up because I wish we would have got it in front of people earlier. Your Cyborg Red Tornado team. Which one of these did you like better? Let me pull out Nite Out.
I like this one the best. I like this Vixen one just because, like I said, the versatility of it. Like I feel like I never have a bad game with it. Like even my worst games, like I can kind of crawl out of a little bit. Just like I have bad games, then I can use Vixen for destruction. Like if having destruction on hand is just so valuable, I feel like just having like a way to destroy no matter what is so good.
You can make a jerry-rigged version of that Cyborg team with a 1 now, right? Like actually do that. And it depends on your one, but like I feel like either Jagaric or Katana would be fine. But you can do it with Baz, and your equipment can be your 3rd card you play, right? Because you trigger Red Tornado, flip for Red Tornado, stack with Baz. Stack with Nite Owl, and draw for Baz. And ideally, it's the same thing.
I feel like I've seen you do something like that before with Baz and Nite Owl. I don't know.
And you just instead of a +1 power, you get to choose a equivalent 1, which I would choose Katana because I think getting the destruction is pretty good for the Baz teams in general, but this is a pretty good replacement for Cyborg.
Yeah.
I still get the draw. I still
get to stack something.
Top things. I can stack stuff, and then instead of a +1 power, I just have the option to destroy a card and destroy a starter during my turn.
Yeah, I'm sure it could work. It just hurts losing the superpower power.
Yeah. But
that's just so automatic because kicks exist. So it's like no matter what, you have a 3-card power card you can tap into.
And that's the story of how Cyborg became a fool.
Yeah.
I think Nite Owl was just really underappreciated in the sense of you're the only person I'm not gonna say only person, but you're one of the few people that I saw use them and make my stomach hurt just watching you top one of the good equipments and then get it. It's like
Could you imagine though, like if that team got Mystic Bolts, right? You just play Mystic Bolts every turn for 2 power and 2 cards out your graveyard.
More or less TLDR on that team is just get one good card, and once you have that one card, then you play it every turn. That's why like getting a nice early boss. Also, like with most, just like with all other Red Tornado teams, like if Raish is your first boss too, you got to remember with Red Tornado, if you have Raish at Ghoul, you have him every turn.
Oh, right. And you never need another villain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's gonna wrap up our team spotlight. Now you have a couple new Red Tornado teams between Bunny's team and the one we just talked about right here at the end. Have fun making your opponents cry, watching Vixen all these different cards and playing 7 card to 9 card turns almost every time. Thank you, Bunnies. Thank you, Reno. That's it for us. We're out. Peace.
Peace.
Later, y'all.